Hello, fellow parents. I'd like to welcome you to Story Time for Parents. I am Joanne Holbrook, the author of Your Passport to Parenting, and I wanted to have a little time for everybody to listen to a little story. Not only is it a good story, but it is also a story with a message and might help you with your children. The Wee Bairns' Own Story. And here goes. My family travelled to Edinburgh, Scotland when my kids were wee bairns, little children. The kids do not remember much about Edinburgh, but I think it is one of my favourite cities. I've been there 4 times, but only once with children, and each time I go, I make sure I stay in a bed and breakfast. Why? Because you get to speak to locals and get to see how they live. My favourite part of travelling is the people you get to meet and their stories. On this particular trip, we went with my sister-in-law, Danelle, and her 2 daughters. The train from Birmingham, England to Edinburgh took 7 hours, and on our arrival, we checked into a modest B&B. It was a lovely home to a Scottish woman whose husband had passed and whose children had grown. And every morning we went downstairs for breakfast, and the lady of the house would make us some cooked eggs, bacon, link sausages, baked beans, and black pudding, which is dried pig's blood sausage, one of the oldest forms of sausage. The black pudding was usually the only thing left on our plates, except for my husband. He eats anything. One morning I stayed downstairs to have some more coffee while everyone else popped upstairs to finish getting ready for the day in the beautiful city. Our host sat at the table with me, sharing a cup of coffee and a chat. We got to talking about children, since between my sister-in-law and myself we had 3 children under 7 and 1 teen. The woman reminisced about her days as a mom of her wee bairns, and in her strong, melodic Scottish accent, she spoke about how she loved to see children in her home. This home was where she raised her children from birth. They were in their 20s and 30s now and were starting to get married or think about starting families of their own. And of course I asked her questions about how she raised her children. By our second cup of coffee, she revealed something I just loved. I hooked myself into and implemented straight away. Even to this day, my children still ask me to do this, and I am grateful to our host, although unfortunately I cannot remember her name. I might have to travel back there one day so I can give her the credit she deserves for sharing an incredible nugget of loveliness with our family. This wise Scottish mom said that day that each one of us has a special entrance into the world. Everyone's story is a fresh start, and our delivery into this world has so much emotion involved that it's not always shared. Most of us hold the day our child were born as a momentous day we will never forget. My new Scottish coffee buddy said that instead of always telling her children fairy tales about faraway lands, kings, queens, forgotten slippers, and magic spells, she told the greatest love story of all, their birth stories. She told them over and over again, reliving each moment that brought the little bundle into her arms. Then expanded her story to what happened next. She shared all the emotions, who was there, what they did. She included grandparents, siblings, uncles, aunties, friends, and doctors. She made some parts funny and some parts raw, but mostly she said, if you know where you come from, you will always have a place to start. So I started telling my kids their birth stories, and I did so often. It was our number 1 bedtime story. And as they grew and matured, so did their stories grow and mature too. How did they get here? What was the birth process or adoption like? Telling children how you came together is a securing, bonding experience. Children want to share what our experiences were with them. They want to know exactly how much they were wanted and are wanted now. What you craved, how much sleep did they need? How did they kick you? How did it feel to see them for the first time? What did their daddy do when they found out their sexes? All these stories make them feel a part of something bigger, a family unit. Make the stories funny, be entertaining so your children will laugh. That way the stories take on a feeling of joy, laughter, warmth, and belonging. The more about your birth story you know, the more you feel a part of the family. You know and understand your very beginnings on this planet, and you can see more easily how far you have come already. This can be profound for a 3 or 4-year-old, or a pleasant reminder to a rebellious teenager. To see where they started and compare it to where they are today makes them feel like a part of a family right from day one. So I hope you enjoyed that. That is one of my favorite stories that I share with my children often. And actually, just the other night, my 11-year-old asked me to tell him his story, and he actually wanted the funny bits, the bits that are all about him. So we laughed, and I wanted to share that with you because we do have a little extra time with our children right now. And I think that taking the time to tell their stories, if you haven't before, is such a great use of time, and it's so simple. And I hope that helps. So I hope you enjoyed your story with Joanne, and I hope to see you on the next story. Bye, guys.